On behalf of the entire County Council, I want to wish all of our Hispanic and Latino residents a wonderful Hispanic Heritage Month. According to the last census, the county is home now to over 200,000 residents that identify as Hispanic or Latino. We are so fortunate to live in an amazing county that continues to grow in diversity and cultural richness every year. Our Hispanic community is an integral part of that growth. We are so grateful for the vast contributions of all of our Hispanic and Latino residents. This is our 8th annual Hispanic Heritage Month commemoration. It was first organized by Councilmember Navarro as a way to honor community leaders in our area and highlight important issues impacting the Latino community. So it's fitting this year we're highlighting the Latino Civic Project, which is one of our county's most successful civic engagement projects at a time when civic engagement has never been more important. We have a great presentation in store today. I hope you all enjoy it. Let me turn it over to Councilmember Navarro. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. It's so good to see all these beautiful faces. This year, the national theme for the celebration is hope, esperanza. And I think it's very fitting given this very difficult 2020 as well as what has been 2021. But I think esperanza, hope, just really encapsulates all the dreams and all the contributions of this extraordinary community. I first want to thank my staff, in particular, Berta Cersosimo and Mayra Cruz Solis, who have been extraordinary in giving life to this project from the inception, as well as our council's communication office, Sonia Hilly, Lilian Mas, we have Raul, we have Machai, Susan, and Lucia, for helping put a very special video together. I want to also thank those of you who are here as guests joining us today. We have some of our civic ambassadors, Rosana Espinosa, Angelica Zaragoza, Monica Braden, Antonio Hernandez, Amarilis Castellón, Griselda Ventura, Justa Tosta, Fe Hernández, Elena Ruiz, y Rolando López. Y espero que otras personas también estén aquí. We also have partner organizations. We have Carmen Hernandez from Impact Silver Spring, who has been also an extraordinary pioneer in helping shape this project. Maria Hernandez from the YMCA linkages at Joanne Luddick Elementary School. Nancy Lasso from Every Mind from linkages to learning at George and Forest Elementary School. Freddie Climaco, YMCA linkages to learning at Joanne Luddick Elementary School, and Ana Villalobos, also from YMCA linkages to learning at Joanne Luddick Elementary School. And so I wanted to share a little bit of the timeline. So as many of you have done over the years, I myself had met many times with parents from the Latino community who were interested in learning how to best support their students navigate the school system. And we would have these meetings periodically. And in 2011, after redistricting took place and I began to represent Wheaton, which is the epicenter of the Latino community in Montgomery County, we had a very robust conversation about the fact that parents, of course, were not just interested in how to support their students in the school system, but also wanted to learn about, how to advocate for better access to transportation, to transit, affordable housing, public safety in their communities, all of these issues, access to healthcare, all of these issues that we all take very seriously. And so a conversation began to see whether there could be a vehicle to learn how to keep track of all of these different issues and be able to participate in order to make a difference and affect the decision-making that all of the county leaders and state leaders had to undertake. This is a community that has grown in numbers, but as all of you know, had not necessarily been at the table. As a matter of fact, that was the primary reason why I ran for office in 2004, because as a Latino mom, I realized that my voice wasn't necessarily represented at that decision-making table. So we decided to figure out a way to launch a project that really was sparked through an awesome, very cool conference that we had in Ana Jimenez when it was located in Wheaton, and we began to think through what this could look like. I knew that it would be critical to hire somebody who could specifically work on this issue. And so I decided to use some of my office budget to hire Mayra Cruz Solis, who I had worked with before, and who is a natural organizer and understands this community very greatly. So we got really busy. We designed a curriculum, and we began to figure out how to then disseminate this extraordinary and important curriculum. So we started at Title I schools. We began to go to churches, apartment complexes, senior rec centers, and nonprofit organizations. And therefore, it just began. But of course, this could not happen unless we began to create cadres of community leaders. And that's exactly what occurred. And some of them are right here present. These are our ambassadors, because the idea was to have everybody go through the curriculum and then turn around and be ambassadors in their own communities and share the information and make sure that they could represent their community needs at public hearings, or run for particular boards and commissions to have their voices heard as well. So you will probably see many of them as you navigate some of these other activities, the Black and Brown Coalition, the different Latino advisory groups at the school system or at the executive level. They are interspersed all around the county, making a difference. To date, we have 600 civic ambassadors who have gone through this curriculum. And as I said, you have heard them also bring testimony to the council. They've also gone to the Board of Education, Planning Board, Board of Elections, the county's Historic Preservation Commission, the county's Economic Development Department, and many other official forums. And they have testified on various policy areas and topics. And as I said earlier, they've taken a lot of different leadership roles. One of them that I'm really proud are the neighborhood civic associations. There are neighborhoods around our county that are majority Latino, but when you look at the civic association, you don't see their voices present. That has definitely begun to change, and that is really, really important. But also something as important as the MCPS new superintendent searches, they have been there present as well. Some of the specific things that you probably remember that they have advocated significantly and made an extraordinary difference was the Wheaton Library and Recreation Center design. And actually that green space would have never become a reality if it had not been for these civic ambassadors who took a front and center role to defend that green space. And this is why we have the design that we have today. This is an extraordinary achievement. The Glenmont Fire Station design and park, it was because of them. Expansion of early voting centers. They were front and center, making sure the centers like the Mid-County Recreation Center, that was designated as an early voting center. And of course, passage of key pieces of legislation, such as the Child Care Expansion and Quality Enhancement Initiative, funding for key budget proposals, et cetera. And that's important because one of the things that we have done is that we've worked really hard. And sometimes we don't take credit for the things that we have done. And I think it's important for these ambassadors to be recognized publicly in all the quiet work and the very, very intense impact they have had. But I also want to talk a little bit about the structural changes that have occurred as a consequence of the Latino Civic Project. As you know, without creating the capacity within our systems, these efforts would absolutely be useless. Because we need not just for the community to step up, but our own internal structures have to be able to meet the community where they are. And this is why I'm so proud of the work that we have done collectively on this county council. It began way back when the Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee, I believe this was around 2012 or so, we created a legislative branch communications outreach non-departmental account. What that means is that we created a space where we can begin to fund incrementally every year. We could fund important components to enhance the capacity of our communications office to serve our multilingual and our extraordinarily multicultural communities. And what have we achieved? We've achieved a simultaneous translation unit. We have a weekly council Spanish language radio show. We have bilingual PIOs that serve the Latino community and the broad Asian community. And we also have a countywide Latino civic project engagement coordinator, which has been very important. And last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that during the pandemic, we also were front and center in advising the administration on how to reach all of these communities. And so we also suggested the creation of a WhatsApp and translation unit at the Office of Community Partnerships, which has been front and center in disseminating information during this crisis, and now is a permanent feature of the way that we communicate along the county. So that is an example of our institutions really looking to enhance the way that they meet our growing communities. And as I always say, we can no longer talk about the Latino community, our Black community, our Asian communities as niche populations. They collectively now are the majority of the population here in our county, which is something that we are so proud of because it really is true that diversity is our strength. And because of that, our institutions have to do whatever it takes to make sure that we can step up and meet the needs of all of our community members so they can be active participants. So now I'm going to turn it over to someone who also has been working on these issues for a long time. First in the executive side when he was the director of the Department of Recreation, where he also instituted some groundbreaking, very innovative initiatives to meet the needs of all of our community members. And of course, now as our vice president, Councilmember Gabriel Albornoz.
Hola, mi gente, and thank you so much, Nancy, for your leadership. I get to say this for at least one more Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you for your steadfast leadership in so many ways. It's been an honor and privilege to serve beside you these last 3 years, and I'm happy I get to serve with you for at least one more. So this is obviously an important month. I'm going to start on a personal note because I think it is symbolic of all that we're celebrating this month. My grandmother, Guadalupe Albornoz, passed away earlier this year, and we are celebrating her funeral mass this Saturday. Like so many, we were not able to grieve in the way that we wanted to, and we wanted to wait to be able to celebrate with family from Ecuador, and waited until they were able to receive their vaccinations to be able to fly here so that we can celebrate her life and grief together. My grandmother was an extraordinary woman and lived 94 very full years. She was actually a college student in Ecuador when she met my grandfather, who was a visiting professor. So, she was a trailblazer in her own right. They settled here in the United States in White Oak, and she raised 8 remarkable children, 8 mocosos, who grew up to become medical doctors, lawyers, public officials, and just truly remarkable people and an inspiration to my cousins and I. And of course, there are the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren that include social workers, teachers, financiers, and a local elected official bringing up the rear. I am so proud of my family and the sacrifices that my family made to come here to the United States in keeping with the long tradition of our country. This month, we take a moment to celebrate the contributions in every corner of our society and our community by our Latino community, whether it's our economy, our culture, or just being able to come together as one community. This month also reminds us of what binds us together. And we are among the most recent immigrants to come to our country, coming in large numbers, as the council president just noted. And I am so proud of the accomplishments of our community to date, but I'm even more proud of what's to come. And it's because of initiatives like Proyecto Cívico that I have tremendous hope for our future. And so it is the absolute appropriate term for us to be able to note this month, because there is a great deal of hope. We had a record number of people testify before the council this year, and I loved how many requested language access and assistance. Many of them were trained through Proyecto Cívico. So among the many legacies that Councilmember Navarro will leave as a council member here and as a board of Education member, this, I think, is among her greatest accomplishments and achievements. And she has done it with the extraordinary help of her team. And speaking of teams, I also want to acknowledge Lillian Cruz and Maida Bayonet on my team, who do such an outstanding job every day, as all of our public officials do, and all of our frontline workers through this last year and a half, literally saving lives. So there is so much to celebrate this month, so much to bring us together, hope for our future. And I close with this before mentioning just a couple final things regarding Proyecto Cívico. One of the things that I got when my grandmother passed away was her Spanish English dictionary. This was something that she specifically wanted to make sure I had, which was appropriate because she would always call me after she saw me on interviews on Univision and Telemundo to correct my grammar and to make sure that I was representing the family well. I miss her tremendously. And I have had the opportunity to attend graduations of Proyecto Cívico, and I look so forward to their continued work. And I, for one, I promise you, Councilmember Navarro, will make sure that this project continues and that it grows and that we as a council do all that we can to support it and expand it to so many other communities that will benefit from its long-lasting traditions and history. So with that, I now turn it over to a video presentation describing the program and all that it has been able to accomplish over these last 10 years.
The need for drastic changes in the academic well-being of students of color was a point of discussion during a meeting organized by Councilmember Nancy Navarro with East County Latino residents during the summer of 2011. Prior to this meeting, work had been focusing on outreach and parental engagement strategies around education policies and programs within the public school system. However, these constituents were not only concerned about school issues, but many others, ranging from housing, transportation, land use, racial equity, public safety, economic and workforce development. Because these policy issues are interrelated and go beyond the jurisdiction of the school system, leadership and advocacy training was a clear need. Doing so was not an easy task. Towards that end, Councilmember Navarro established the Latino Civic Project in District 4, a linguistically and culturally proficient project to strengthen the civic participation of the immigrant community in the decision-making process.
Every 10 years, the boundaries for the council's legislative districts are redrawn after the census. As a result, in 2010, District 4 was redrawn to include Wheaton and its surrounding areas. To date, Wheaton and Glenmont are the epicenter of the Latino community in Montgomery County, and both are within my district. As their representative, I have the responsibility to encourage and empower this segment of my constituents who have not traditionally been involved to play an active role in the decision-making process by enhancing their civic knowledge base and providing tools for participation. A key tenet of this initiative is empowerment. It helps individuals become agents of change, and in doing so, it promotes the collective well-being of our county.
At the beginning of 2012, the inaugural Latino Civic Leadership Conference was held at the Ana G. Mendez University Area campus in Wheaton, where the Latino Civic Project was officially launched. Myra Cruz Solis was hired as the outreach coordinator for the Latino Civic Project by Councilmember Navarro to strategically carry out the mission and vision of this initiative. An important component of this project is a Spanish language curriculum that was designed and packaged into a series of workshops and is being taught by Myra to residents of all ages throughout different locations in the county, including elementary, middle and high schools, places of worship, apartment complexes, senior recreation centers, and nonprofit organizations. Its success has marked the lives of hundreds of residents. In 2019, Myra's position was expanded to engage communities in areas outside of District 4, such as Montgomery Village, Germantown, Gaithersburg, and the greater Silver Spring area.
Me ha ayudado bastante como madre de familia, cómo sobrellevar a mis hijos, cómo educarlos. He aprendido bastante derechos que no sabía, sobre el condado donde vivimos, como latinos, como hispanos. Entonces he aprendido mucho.
Y esas clases me ayudaron muchísimo para mejorar mi autoestima, para poder ayudar a otras mamás, para ayudarlas a que ellas también comprendan de que hay muchas oportunidades para nosotras las mujeres latinas. Y me impactó tanto de que sé que voy a ayudar a otras personas para que ellas puedan sentirse cada día mejor, y también para ayudar a mi familia, para ayudar a otras familias, para mis hijos, para todos.
The overall objective of this curriculum is to build a civic knowledge base in order to encourage active community participation in the legislative, budgetary, and other decision-making processes. Among the different topics that are explored during these workshops are learning about the different branches of government, county services and resources, the county's budget process, and how to sign up to testify, as well as other areas based on the group's interests. New community leaders have emerged from this initiative, including parents who now play a more active role in their children's education. Griselda Ventura is one of them.
For me, has been a great experience. First of all, I have been a better person. We have learned a lot. We have been practicing how to speak in public, how to learn to find the resources that the county is offering, how to talk to our kids, how to go to school. It has been great.
Of great priority has been engaging grandparents or older adults. Culturally, in the Latino community, they are central and valued members of the family unit and their neighborhoods, so it was important to engage with them and leverage their connections with the community, and they have become active members throughout the years. It was due to their advocacy that the Holiday Park Senior Recreation Center got a brand new floor for one of their main rooms. They were also critical in advocating for expanded locations and hours of voting centers, as well as increased resources to improve the quality of life of older adults in the county.
Esta iniciativa ha sido bien favorable para nosotros porque hemos aprendido a hacer peticiones para nuestro bien, pues, del centro, y que nos han favorecido bastante. Y también en cuanto a las votaciones que se extendieron para que hubiera más tiempo para las votaciones. Y además han dado también mucho dinero para los adultos mayores que han pedido también su colaboración. O sea, hemos aprendido a pedir allí con este proyecto.
But this is not all. The Latino Civic Project has also led to many structural changes at the county government level, which Councilmember Navarro has championed alongside LCP participants. Among these accomplishments are making simultaneous interpretation and closed captioning subtitles available during public hearings for residents whose first language is not English.
Being able to testify in Spanish has given us a great opportunity. It has opened doors to us. Right now we have the new library, the community center. We also got to choose the design of the fire department, and we also have a community park, and also we have funds for childcare providers. So it has given us many opportunities, and I am proud of my community that went out there and testified. And the good thing it was that they could say it in Spanish, so that was really great.
Funding a community outreach position, and the hiring of bilingual public information officers for the Latino and Asian communities at the County Council, launching In Tune with the County Council, a weekly bilingual radio program, and strengthening and building capacity in the Council's communication office, which is able to disseminate information in English, Spanish, French, and Amharic.
Quisiéramos que se asignen más fondos para...
The way in which the county engages with its residents continues to evolve, and it was precisely during the pandemic that, at the request of Councilmember Navarro with the support of her colleagues, Montgomery County created its own WhatsApp account for Spanish-speaking constituents, thus adding another tool in the toolbox to close gaps in communication between the government and its residents. In addition, a multicultural and multilingual translation pilot program was also established to report on COVID-19 and other resources, which was later officially established as a permanent part of the Office of Community Partnerships during the adoption of the fiscal year 2022 budget.
The expansion of these services has allowed the county to serve a greater number of residents. This has been crucial during the COVID-19 pandemic and the way we serve our immigrant community. It is our priority that all of our residents have access to the county's resources.
To date, hundreds of participants remain committed to this initiative, and its multiplier effect has led to the active participation of the Latino community in all forms of civic life.
It is my hope that our future leaders will take this project to all corners of our county. We need to ensure the equitable access to information and participation by all communities, so they can inform and affect the decisions of their representatives. The racial equity and social justice law that I was proud to champion requires that we make decisions through an equity and inclusion lens, and this can only be achieved with the full participation of everyone in our county. I would be remiss if I didn't thank those who have played a role, big and small, in bringing this project to life, including my council colleagues, the various county agencies, Montgomery County Public Schools, nonprofit organizations, places of worship, etc. Special thanks to the staff that made my vision a reality: Maria Cruz Solis, Berta Cersosimo, Carmen Hernandez, and Lillian Mass. And finally, I'd like to thank the project's participants themselves, who have become civic ambassadors and continue to empower and inspire others to lead. Gracias. Wow, that was extraordinary. It was an amazing travel through time. And when I first saw the draft of this video, I was tired. I was like, wow, we have been really busy, people. And it's just so gratifying to see it all. I will only, say that I do have to recognize publicly again Maria Cruz Solis, because when I decided to launch Centro Familia back in the day, she was one of the participants that I immediately identified as a natural born leader. And I hired her to launch the Latino Family Child Care Association, Leonas. And I literally just said, go make it happen. And she did, which is why when, this idea came to fruition, I was like, I think Maria Cruz Solis can make this happen. And then she found this extraordinary partner in Carmen Hernandez as well. And the two of them have been a real force, but it really it's been a collective work. So I think a round of applause for Maria Cruz Solis and Carmen Hernandez is in order. And of course, Berta, who is just a jack of all trades and is amazing. I want to now just turn it over to two of the participants, and then we will see whether council members have any reflections. And I know that time is running a little bit short, but of course, something like this, we needed to take a little bit of time to pause and to reflect and to celebrate, because especially with the latest census results, it is so important that we work on structural changes that lead to the capacity of all of our members in our community to be active participants. So I thought this would be a really fitting moment for everyone. So I want to first turn it over to Antonio Hernandez Cardoso, who is an amazing leader in his own right in the scientific community, but somehow he finds time to give back and has always been there from the very beginning to support this project, as well as to support the Latino Family Child Care Association that is so vibrant. So first I would like to turn over to him, and then we also will hear from Griselda Ventura, who is one of the participants. And I obviously wish we had time to hear from everyone. But just know from my heart that all of you are extraordinary leaders. So I know that when I leave the council, everything will be in good hands. Antonio Hernandez Cardoso.
Buenos días. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today on the framework of the celebration for the Hispanic Heritage Month. My name is Antonio Hernandez Cardoso, And I am glad to introduce my colleagues and friends, Rosana Espinosa, Monica Braden, Angelica Zaragoza, Nuri Funes, and Rolando Lopez. We have been with the Latino Civic Project since its inception as civic ambassadors. This valuable initiative was created over nine years ago, as you have heard, after the first Latino conference in the county led by Councilmember Nancy Navarro. Since its creation, our mission has been to advocate for education, childcare, housing, economic development, among other critical topics. Based on our experiences, in recent years, the focus has been on civic education and the empowerment of the Latino community to be able to speak up and advocate by themselves. In fact, the Latino Civic Project has reached hundreds of families, allowing them to effectively participate in the communities of their children's schools and their neighborhoods in order to improve their lives and to cover their urgent and basic needs. We feel very proud and honored to be the first ones, and still nowadays we continue supporting and participating in this important project. Again, we thank Councilmember Navarro and the other council members for supporting this project. There is still too much work to do, and we aim to continue growing and providing tools to the Latino community to find and train leaders that will help continue building a better and more culturally rich county. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Antonio. Y ahora, Griselda Ventura. Griselda, creo que tienes que abrir tu micrófono. ¿Puedes? Uh-oh, there she is. Ahí estamos.
Good morning. Can you hear me now? Hello? Yes. Okay.
Sí, te oímos.
Okay. Thank you very much for today's recognition and for highlighting the work of the Latino Civic Project. My name is Griselda Ventura, as you know. First, I would like to thank Councilmember Navarro for her visionary and persistent leadership on behalf of all county residents. A special thanks to Mayra Cruz, Carmen Hernandez, and Berta Cersosimo, Linkages to Learning, and the rest of the council and the council's communication office for facilitating this learning space. I want to amplify that we truly are civic ambassadors, as Councilmember Navarro mentioned, since we are collectively uplifting and multiplying the voices of many in our community. Doing so means that we have to learn about civic engagement in this county and in this country. Government structures are really complex and have many layers. Many of us started the civic education journeys at a very basic level, which is why the civic lessons are so important. For Latino and other communities of colors, the civic process is even more complex due to language barriers, as you can hear, governmental cultures difference, and the fact of that most of the time we have been left out of this process. For all these reasons, the Latino Civic Project has been excellent, great, and the latest census data confirms why. Latinos are the largest community of colors in the county, making up to 20.5% of the total population. There was a 31.4% increase in the Latino population between 2010 and 2020. This is the largest increase from any other racial ethnic group. The state of Maryland ranked 4th in the nation with the highest diversity index, which makes Maryland the most diverse state or territory on the East Coast, even more so than DC. This all means that all community must be able to be allowed to advocate for ourselves and have ability to shape public policy. In closing, being part of this initiative has been fulfilling, empowering, and personally a life-changing experience. Thank you so much, Councilmember Navarro and the entire council for making this possible. Have a great day. Gracias.
Gracias, Griselda. Gracias, Antonio. Thank you so much to the two of you. And Griselda, your accent is beautiful. Even council members have accent, and we own it, and we are proud of it. You did amazing. So now I turn it over to you, Councilmember Hucker, to see if any of my colleagues have any remarks, and so we can close the celebration. Before we do close it, I just very quickly, en español, quiero darle las gracias a todos ustedes, los embajadores cívicos, por esta extraordinaria aventura que comenzó hace muchos años, casi 10 años y pico, con el liderazgo de María Cruz Solís, Carmen Hernández, Antonio Hernández, Angélica, Mónica Brade, Nuri, todos los que están aquí presentes, Berta, todo. Esto ha sido una fiesta impresionante de gente latina que está diciendo que estamos presentes, que estamos cansados de que siempre se nos hable de las cosas, de los retos, de los problemas, etcétera. Nosotros estamos aquí para contribuir. Y este es un ejemplo colectivo de lo que podemos hacer juntos cuando nos empoderamos y cuando decimos de que sí, que estamos aquí para construir un mejor futuro. Y lo han hecho, ustedes lo han hecho y lo tienen que seguir haciendo, multiplicando todo este proyecto a través del condado. Así que de mi corazón, muchas gracias. Esto fue un sueño que ustedes lo hicieron realidad y de verdad de que estoy muy orgullosa de nuestra comunidad y celebrando este mes de la herencia hispana. El año que viene, si Dios quiere, bailamos salsa otra vez en el Consejo. Muchas gracias. Turn it over to you, Council President Hucker.
That was terrific. Thank you so much to all of you. Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to join colleagues and just so honored to be part of this and to be able to join and celebrate not only Hispanic Heritage Month, but this incredible organization that started in District 4 has become a countywide effort. And if you look at our vaccine numbers, the fact that Latino residents now are more vaccinated than white residents in Montgomery County, projects like this, efforts like this, engagement and empowerment of communities in Montgomery County, it doesn't just change lives, it saves lives. And it has throughout this pandemic. And this effort that we learned today and are talking about now, really reflects that and has really driven the county council, county government to ensure that we were getting into communities, talking to people in their terms, on their turf, and having the type of culturally proficient and competent outreach that we need to be the type of government that is of and for the people that we serve. And so I am just so honored to do that. And without a doubt, the Hispanic heritage that we're celebrating, this is also about Councilmember Navarro's heritage and the inheritance you will leave the community and the county. And this project is just one of the many examples of the way that you've helped lift your district and your community and the entire county up and make sure that the benefits of that work will continue to blossom and grow for years and generations to come. And I am just so honored to be part of it. Many of us were in Wheaton this weekend, and I've got to say that that was also a celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month because we had arts and culture and music. We had community services in the new Marion Fryer Plaza. It was a testament to the type of public investments that have been made, to the outreach and the engagement of the community to make sure that it's a place that people want to be in, and people proved it because it was packed. And then to go over to the Wheaton Regional Park for the 8th Friendship Picnic and see another huge crowd, some of which were going from one to the other and some of which were separate, celebrating the strength of our community, the vibrancy of our community, the fact that you can see the world through Wheaton in so many different ways, through language, through culture, through music. And so thank you so much for everything that you have done, Councilmember Navarro, to everybody who has participated in this project, for everybody in our community who has stepped up in this pandemic, who has stepped up to hear the challenge and the clarion call of what Justice Brandeis called the most important political office there is, and that is of citizen and of civic engagement and of involvement in our community. So thank you so much, and really just honored and touched to be able to participate here today.
Thank you. Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Navarro, I really want to thank you for having the foresight to build an organization with your incredible team, first of all, that could reach throughout the county and help change the civic culture of our community. And to all of the community leaders who are here today, you know, I'm reminded of how when Barack Obama ran for president, he'd been a state senator, a United States senator, a constitutional lawyer, a professor, but the part of his biography that was most appealing to people was that he had been a community organizer. And the work that you do every day to build those connections, to help everyone understand how to make a difference, how to fulfill their dreams for their family, for their neighborhood, for the community. There really is nothing more important. This is your county, and this is your government, and you will have that government accountable to you by participating. And there really is nothing more precious and important. And Councilmember Navarro, we must make sure that this work endures and grows. And as amazing as it is, I'm sure you will envision ways, and the community will envision ways to have it grow and evolve and blossom in ways that we don't know 10 years from now, as long as we're committed to it. And let's keep it going. Let's see it grow. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be with you here today to celebrate all that we are doing together on this important occasion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jawando.
Thank you. And good to see everybody. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Councilman Navarro, thank you for your just commitment and just passion for this work. It's something that you and I share, trying to expand voice and lift up voice that exists, but doesn't always know how to navigate and to enter the kind of halls of power. And no one has done more in this county to date, in my view, to get a group of residents who are so vital to our community, our more than 200,000 Latino residents, engaged in their government. This was a beautiful tribute. I have been, one of the things I've loved most about our switch to Zoom, it's been a hard year, you mentioned that, is that we've been able to dramatically increase the amount of our residents who are engaging with us. And many of them have been Latino, but this has had a spreading effect on all immigrant populations in all communities in our county, our African immigrant community, our West Indian Caribbean community, our Asian community. And it really is because of your dedication and pushing for this issue. When I was laughing when I looked at the WhatsApp, I just remember how, you've almost become a broken record, but we needed you to be a broken record to get things done. And just such a gratifying thing to see how much progress we've made and how it's been institutionalized with all these great folks who are here today and within our county government, in our office of PIO. And it's just a great, great legacy and something that we will continue to build on. And so to all the residents who have been touched by the thousands of residents, along with all of us, and Councilmember Alvarez, thank you for being such a big champion. It's an honor to serve with you, my friend. This is a great day and one of the greatest parts of Montgomery County. And I will continue to do my part to help continue the work and make sure that we continue to reach more and more residents, particularly in our Latino community. And as I mentioned, I think earlier this year, I had been a Montgomery College student taking Spanish. And so I will end with gracias por su dedicación a nuestra comunidad. And I know so hopefully you'll deal with my accent too, for those of us who are trying to communicate with all of our residents. But gracias and thank you, everybody. And for those who don't speak Spanish, I said thank you for your dedication to our community, I think. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you to Councilmember Navarro and to everyone who's here today. You know, when you think about this meeting that we're now in, we're into it for 1 hour, and we've already talked about peace for the world and heritage that we're all proud of, and civic engagement, which we've all needed. This is the first hour of a meeting in a place called Montgomery County, Maryland. So, you know, it is so very important that we work together and that you continue to help us and we continue to help each other to get to that place where we all need to be. This world is never going to be perfect, but if we don't do what we're doing today, then there's no way that this world will be perfect. So, you know, it's already been mentioned about the friendship picnic that was in Wheaton one Sunday. I had the pleasure of being there, and you know, part of what we all saw there, and I've mentioned a zillion times, and it's going to be a zillion and two because I said it was a zillion and one there, but that a community is a family, and we have to make certain that our family stays strong. That and you know, like any family, you don't always agree on every topic, but that doesn't mean that you don't straighten it out and that you don't come back together so that you can agree on all the other topics or most of them. So we need to continue to do that. And Councilmember Jawando is taking a course on Spanish. I am not, but I can tell you I do know the words, muchas gracias. So thank you so very, very much for everything you do for all of us each and every day. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, and Councilmember Navarro. Thank you so much. You know, Nelson Mandela said education is the most powerful way to truly change the world. It is that weapon that we know means so much. And that's what you've undertaken with your Latino Civic Project, with all of the things that you do. You're educating our community, who oftentimes is disconnected and marginalized, oftentimes because of language. And you've done everything you can to eliminate those barriers that stand in the way of a community being educated about their rights, about the offerings that our county has, about the opportunities that are there for them and for their children and their families. All of that is just so incredibly important. And so I have the pleasure of serving with you on the Education and Culture Committee. I know your passion. I know that it started well before you joined this council. And that's really what this is about. This is truly about making sure that everyone knows their place in this community, that they are welcome, that they have rights, that they should avail themselves of all the great opportunities that are here in this community. And we are all better for it. The more people who have the opportunities to really access all of the things that this county has to offer means that we are a better place for it. And so thank you for making the county a better place with your actions. Thank you to community members and all of the participants for making the community a better place because of your participation and your active involvement and enrollment in what the county has to offer. And so I'll close with this, since folks are flexing their Spanish today. Te agradecemos tu pasión y trabajo. Muchas gracias. Tienes un buen día.
Thank you, Councilmember Glass.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, everybody, for being here and for your leadership, and especially Councilwoman Navarro for your incredible leadership and tenure here in Montgomery County. All of the things that you have done in all of the different capacities The manifestation of all of that on this Zoom, and that which is not on this Zoom is felt by all of us. And the first time I think I personally felt the power of this group and the power of this work was when we had the field visit for the Veers Mill Master Plan. And that evening, sitting in that room full of citizens who wanted to become engaged in this work. And they had come after school, after work, some of them after their second job. And that was powerful. One of the most powerful things I've experienced during this first term on the council. And I want to thank you, Councilmember Navarro, and all of everybody else who was here for helping make that happen. And similarly, just last night, I was in Quebec Terrace in Long Branch, speaking with mostly Latino residents in their own community, talking about public safety and sidewalks and buses. And so this work continues, and we will need to continue this legacy. And Councilmember Navarro, as has been alluded to by you and others, I know that this is a relay race. And in some form or fashion, the baton is starting to be passed, as has been alluded to. And I know Councilmember Albernaz is a partner in that relay race, as we all are, and as those who will be joining us in the ever expanded council and future generations. And some of you on this Zoom will be here as well. And so just thank you. The work continues, and gracias por todo.
Thank you, Thank you. Councilmember Navarro, any closing remarks?
The only closing remarks I will give is that as I start reflecting on my time on this council, I think that this is an example of patience and persistence, but also of love for community. Speaking about manifestations, the Wheaton Arts and Cultural Festival, for me, was a manifestation of a lot of this work. To see all members of the community coming together in that plaza was a vision. It was a vision that I know I had and fought very, very hard to make a reality with the support of you here, council members, and many others, because it was important to create a physical space for this community, along with everyone, to come together and understand that there is a big bond between all of us, that there's a thread that connects us in this extraordinarily diverse county. So to see everyone so happy in this plaza for the first time, this was the biggest festival ever, was such an extraordinary, incredible, rewarding vision. And I hope that we continue to work on that because there are so many other areas of our county who still need that type of amenity, the kind of investment, et cetera, to lift up all of our members and be true to our goals of racial equity and social justice from a prosperity lens. So I thank you all, because even though we're celebrating today Hispanic Heritage Month and the Latino Civic Project, this is all connected. It is all connected, and it will all lead to a much stronger and a much better Montgomery County, state, and nation if we continue to do this kind of work from the ground up and empower our community members versus just simply giving them little opportunities to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. I look forward to this day every year and this celebration, but I especially enjoyed this tribute today and really am grateful for all your hard work, and it's so appropriate we're honoring this remarkable project. So thank you all for your dedication. Keep up the good work. We all need it more now than ever. Thank you so much for joining us.